We don't know all the facts. We heard this report. Obviously, an arrest warrant being issued is a very, very serious matter. Um, Without knowing anything, let's just make sure we make this general statement that everybody at this table will agree with. Keep your hands off women. Do not put your hands on women if you are a man.
Welcome to Male Reality Lessons, where topics are reviewed and discussed as iron sharpens iron. Greetings. Before we step into today's video, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Male Reality Lessons. We're a new channel and we're trying to grow. On today's episode, I want to discuss a serious topic that's been in the news, particularly in the sports arena, but I want to examine the fact that it does not happen to one specific gender primarily. DV is a serious, serious problem in society today. We just don't want to idly go about saying that it's only happening one way. And to Stephen A. Smith's quote, "I'm all about protecting females from domestic violence, but more importantly, I want to protect everyone." So versus saying keep your hands, how about keep your hands to yourself? That is more a responsible statement, in my opinion, and I'm going to give evidence to why.
Drawing particular attention to the issue of domestic violence ahead of Saturday night's Girls' Night Out event. One element that is often overlooked is domestic violence directed at men. But as 13 News reporter Shannon Litton explains, there's help for them too.
People tend to think of Mel as being tough, just being able to take care of things themselves and not needing help as much.
Trish Miles is a counselor at Resolve in Charleston. She has 10 years of experience working with domestic violence victims and survivors from all walks of life. At a time when women are considered the most likely victims of domestic violence, she says male victims are frequently overlooked or even ignored. How do we stop making this a taboo subject to talk about when it comes to men?
More education.
And by that, she means empowering men to speak out and telling them it's okay to come forward with their stories. Nearly half of all women and men in the United States have experienced psychological aggression by an intimate partner in their lifetime. And it's no secret that more women are victims to physical abuse. With men, advocates and counselors say the abuse is primarily psychological. That doesn't mean men can't be physically abused. According to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1 in 10 men in this country will be physically attacked or stalked this year by an intimate partner, while 1 in 7 over the age of 18 will be the victim of severe physical violence by a partner. Still, for most men, the problem is mental abuse.
Name calling, belittling, making their self-esteem very low, making them think that they're not worth anything.
Usually with men, it's more they use the kids against them. It's more of like the mental abuse and stuff, and sometimes it is physical.
Go tell mommy that if she doesn't do this, that this is going to happen, or go tell daddy that if he doesn't do this, that this is going to happen.
But the one thing both men and women share in common when it comes to domestic violence is the struggle of breaking the cycle of abuse. Something as simple as picking up the phone.
Seek help. Call the YWCA. We have counseling. We have support groups. We can develop a safety plan.
In Huntington, I'm Shannon Litton, 13 News.
Sadly, the mental abuse is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to abuse towards men.
Today, several local politicians and law enforcement leaders are bringing attention to a new domestic violence law. That new law went into effect October 1st, and it essentially speeds up the legal process to file a restraining order. Instead of sending the order by mail, as in the post office, text messages are now allowed to be sent to allow a victim to know exactly when the order is signed by the judge.
In Florida, there were 106,000 reported domestic violence offenses in 2020. And that was including more than 200 domestic violence murders.
State Senator Janet Cruz there sponsored that bill and got it passed, and she says 3 out of every 4 who are killed by their abuser are murdered when they attempt to leave the abusive relationship. The hope is that by speeding up this process, it can save lives. And while the majority of domestic violence victims are women, tonight we're diving deeper into cases where men are the victims. It's rare, but it does happen, and sometimes with deadly outcomes. ABC Action News reporter Michael Paluska tonight looking at 2 high-profile cases with local connections.
The knife entered Christian's chest in a downward angle to the depth of 3 inches.
Miami, a social media influencer arrested.
We are charging 26-year-old Courtney Taylor Clenny with 1 count of second-degree murder in Christian's death.
Miami-Dade County State Attorney Catherine Fernandez-Rundle telling the media at an August news conference all the signs were there. This fight in an elevator with Clenny and her boyfriend Christian Abusele is key evidence, along with constant noise complaints about violence.
It was a homicide.
In St. Petersburg, August 19th, Larry Jarrell is found inside the apartment he shared with his partner, Rhiannon Spicer, an eerily similar case where police say Jarrell was stabbed to death, the complaint showing that Spicer had a, quote, Google search history of, do you spend life in prison if you killed someone in self-defense?
Our advocates often have a very tough time that sometimes in abusive relationships, sometimes it happens within a 24-hour period that we'll get both partners in the relationship that reach out to us for help.
Christine Meister is the outreach program manager at the Spring of Tampa Bay. She did not comment on these 2 specific cases, but spoke in general about what she's experienced when it comes to domestic violence involving men as victims.
People look at men when they're the victims and they make the assumption that the man did something wrong. And there's a reason why they were the victim of domestic violence. Is that accurate?
So I think a lot of times when men are victims, they face additional biases, and a lot of that has to do with gender norms. Men have this expectation to be tough, to be more dominant in that relationship. And so when a man comes forward and says, no, this is what I'm experiencing in my relationship, I don't feel safe in this relationship, my partner is abusing me, or I have this coercive control, other people think, well, then you must not be a man.
Data reinforces that skepticism about men as victims. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 72% of all murder-suicides involve an intimate partner. 94% of the victims of these murder-suicides are female, and 1 in 4 women, compared to 1 in 9 men, experience severe intimate partner physical violence.
Our advocates have that very tough time of, let's put gender aside and really take a look at what is happening in this relationship.
Documents show Spicer was arrested in November 2021 for domestic violence, again just weeks before Jarrell was found dead. No contact orders were also in place. In February, court records show that Jarrell was also arrested for domestic violence and pleaded no contest. The couple had 3 children together, and since Spicer's arrest, police still have more questions than answers. Spicer invoking her right to remain silent.
Every act of violence in a relationship is always an act of domestic violence. Those words, domestic violence, should have a decidedly ugly feel to them.
Back in Miami, authorities say they found no evidence to Clenny's claim that Abusele was the aggressor.
There's no physical evidence that led us to believe that she was actually physically harmed in any way.
No matter what, everyone agrees someone should or could have done something to stop it.
Men are often, unfortunately, unwilling to come forward as victims of domestic violence, or of intimate violence, it is sometimes called. The sequence of domestic violence events can be broken.
How do we come together as a society to fix this issue of domestic violence that keeps recurring?
From one aspect, you can look at it that we need to teach what healthy relationships look like in the first place. It's about recognizing that domestic violence is everybody's problem.
In St. Petersburg, Michael Paluska.
Regarding the Von Miller incident and others like it, I think most of the outrage comes from the community at large, but due to the fact that ESPN, Stephen A. Smith, Malika Andrews, and the rest of the ilk tend to approach reporting a little lackluster when it involves any other gender or community, unless it's a black man. That's where the outrage is. Fair and equity in reporting on incidents like this is first and foremost, because all of it's bad. But you can't make one group the boogeyman and everybody else gets a pass. Case in point,
arrested and accused of domestic violence, Las Vegas Aces guard Raquana Williams is facing charges including battery and assault against her wife.
Williams appeared in court this morning and was later released. I obtained the police report and break down what investigators say led to the arrest. Aces guard Raquana Williams stood before Judge Rebecca Sachs in a gray Raiders shirt Wednesday morning.
You are here in initial appearance court. Today the court is going to make a determination.
According to Clark County court records, she was arrested Tuesday and accused of domestic violence against her wife. Chief Deputy District Attorney Glenn O'Brien started the hearing with his concerns.
There are multiple violent allegations against her spouse.
The Las Vegas Aces guard helped the team win the World Championship last year, but has not played at all this season due to injuries. Court records show 9 charges were filed against Williams, including domestic battery by strangulation and assault leading to domestic violence with the use of a deadly weapon. The Las Vegas Metro Police arrest report shows Williams allegedly accused her wife of being unfaithful after looking through her phone. Investigators say that led to the beating and strangulation of her wife that lasted for nearly an hour. The police report states that while Williams was strangling her wife, she told her, "I'll kill you here and walk to jail myself." Investigators say Williams also allegedly threw furniture and other objects at her wife. After further evaluation of the case, Judge Sachs ordered Williams to be released from jail.
With your lack of any criminal history at age 33 and ties to the community as represented by your attorney, for those reasons, the court does not find monetary bail as necessary.
Williams was ordered to alcohol monitoring, mental health counseling, and to have no contact with the victim in this case. Channel 13 obtained this statement from the team that says, in part, quote, "The Las Vegas Aces were made aware of domestic violence charges against a member of our team." The statement went on to say, as an organization, we condemn domestic violence of any kind. At this time, Raquana Williams will be precluded from participating in team activities. Now, I also learned this is not the first time Williams has been involved with an alleged domestic violence incident. When Williams played for the Los Angeles Sparks in 2019, she was accused of breaking into a home in Palm Beach, Florida, attacking her ex-girlfriend and pointing a gun at a man before she sped off. Those charges were dropped. Now, Williams is due back in court in 1 week for a status check.
Here are my final thoughts regarding the subject of DV. As adults, we should be able to conduct ourselves as such. But in the event that you're in a situation where you're not the aggressor and things cannot be worked out, you need to remove yourself from said situation. And at the end of the day, anybody that is caught and convicted of such heinous crimes should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And also, no gender should have any type of priority over the other. We're grown people, we're not children, and we're not helpless. That being said, I'd like to hear from you in the comment section. Please provide your thoughts and commentary there. As always, thank you for watching. Please take advantage of some other videos on my channel. Please subscribe to Male Reality Lessons and have a good day.